If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMtrading. Today's June 23rd, 2020. And today is Tuesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, Microsoft and Amazon hit all-time record highs yesterday in midst of summer trading, number one, and number two, in the midst of this crazy pandemic. Unbelievable situation. But first, let's take a look at the economic events of the day. So we've got a few items coming out from the European Union starting at 9:15 South African time. French flash services PMI number coming out. And then out of Germany, both a manufacturing PMI and a services PMI coming out at 9:30 as well. But looking at the separate markets, we're watching the currencies, the dollar weaken across the board. That's really on the back of the Dow Jones being pushed upwards by Nasdaq stocks, okay, by the high-tech stocks. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. And looking at the commodities, gold retraces to 1750, while oil rallies to $40 a barrel. That's a very big threshold. That's one of the first times that we hit that threshold since the pandemic actually started. And lastly, looking at the stocks, as we mentioned, both Amazon and Microsoft are remaining the leaders. Microsoft hitting over $200 a share. Okay, unbelievable threshold. But let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to first take a look here at the Euro USD at a 4-hour chart. We had this retracement. Okay, we hit somewhere middle between this double resistance. So we're going to start here with the Euro USD at a 4-hour chart. And we had this retracement after we hit this 113.60-ish level, just trickling down to the midsection at 111.79-ish level. And yesterday I kind of mentioned that, at these areas, it didn't look like either a something to jump into either way. And finally, true colors actually fall out, meaning to say that we actually see that the dollar is getting weaker. And this is really on the back of the fact that the Dow Jones rallied yesterday, reluctantly, but rallied nonetheless. Now, looking at the GBP USD, we see something else. Okay, a little bit of a bounce yesterday, but now it's retracing just a tad as we're seeing the markets rotate once again. Now, before I get to the Dow Jones, let's just jump into commodities. We're looking at gold here, okay, at a 1-hour chart. We're consolidating here at this 1752-ish level after hitting a high of 1760. Remember, 1741 is going to be your support level, okay? So whichever way we go here, if we do decide to break out on the upside, this is something to consider, that it may still retrace down to 1740. I wouldn't jump into it right now, okay, just because it's had that move on the upside. It's closer to the upper threshold, okay? It also does look like it's setting up a wedge formation, which, sometimes could go either way. So right now, I wouldn't jump into it, but ultimately, it's going to break out of this area, but I would still look for that 1741 as a support area. Now, looking at oil, this is the first time that we've been above $40 a barrel. If we look at a daily chart, I'm not sure if we'll get that here. Okay, we couldn't actually populate it, but you can see that we're above that $40 range. Okay, we hit a high of 40.10, but we're sustaining it now. Okay, which kind of implies that the markets are going to open again and the demand of oil is going to return. Not to say how long that return will be, but for right now, this is actually very bullish. Now, this is also on the back of the fact that the Dow Jones had a crazy day yesterday. Okay, we went up since, Sunday night trading when the markets opened. Okay, up to yesterday, we went over 500 points from 25,500-ish level all the way up to 26,000 and hitting that retracement. Now, in early morning trading, there was this fluke situation where we had this massive sell-off, as you could see here, over a 500-point, almost close to a 500-point sell-off, and then a massive V formation. Okay, so volatility is still there. Okay, there's still uncertainty in the markets, and I think that just be very cautious to where you're trading it. Now, what pushed the Dow Jones to rally this 300 plus points yesterday? Well, it was the stocks. And before we get to the stocks, let's just jump into the Nasdaq. Nasdaq trading over 10,130. Okay, not just a 10,000 threshold, but 10,030, and it's going to hit that 10,150 resistance-ish level when we hit before. So the question is it going to break above it? All right, so something to consider as we go into today's trading session. Now, I'd like to see some follow-through here, okay, especially because there are really big stocks that are pushing the markets higher, including Microsoft, okay, hitting $200 a share. If you look at a daily, okay, from when we, sold off back in March down to 134, we've recovered and then some, okay, almost $12 to $15 above where we were before this pandemic, okay? So, Microsoft's still showing tremendous strength in the environment that we're currently in, okay? So something to be relatively cautious at, because ultimately we are still in this pandemic, okay? So there's a little bit of a pull and push here with the markets, okay? Now jumping into Amazon as well, looking at a daily chart, we'll see a different story. Same story, essentially, that we're trading at $2,700 a share. Unbelievable rally for Amazon, okay? Now, this is going back to May, when the CEO said we're going to be hitting very hard times in the next 6 months. And that's not reflective of the stock right now, as the stock is going much, much higher, okay? So, as I said yesterday, Warren Buffett's still emphasizing the fact that the markets are still way loony toony, okay? They're at intervals that perhaps they shouldn't be. So there could be a market correction still in the horizon. So something to consider, but the volatility is still there, okay? But I would like to see some follow through, especially in these stocks, just to show that they are bona fide buying, as opposed to just pushing it up arbitrarily, okay? Now looking at Facebook as well, didn't go higher. Okay, this is why it's disconcerting a little bit, okay? It's close to its highs, but not breaking out higher. If we look at Google, not even close to its highs, okay? If we look at JP Morgan, actually down on the day, all right? So, still, the markets are still in uncertain times, okay? Household consumer spending is much further down. Purchasing of houses is much deflated. So this could all open up in a boomerang kind of situation if the markets just open just tomorrow, okay? But as it stands right now, I still expect, the markets to be pushing and pulling throughout the day. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.